Do you need a guru? Many of you may be thinking, why am I doing a video on such an obvious question? In the Hindu tradition, are we not indoctrinated that a guru is essential for higher learning, particularly when it comes to spiritual learning? So then why am I bringing this topic or question to you of do you really need a guru? As always, on this channel, we go deeper into an inquiry mode. In fact, recently when I did a 1-hour discussion on dharma, we discussed this topic called achara and vichara, meaning having the intent or intellectual understanding or vichara for anything that we practice or believe in, also called as achara. Going deeper into inquiry makes you a spiritual being. Hence, in today's episode, in line with the mindset of vichara or intellectual understanding, I would like to go deeper with you into this question of, do you really need a guru? And to help us with it, I'm tapping into our favorite scripture, the Gita, and look into what our dear friend, Sage Krishna, has to say. But before that, let us get some grounding on what we mean by the phrase guru. Essentially, it means one who dispels ignorance. As an example, Sage Krishna of the Gita is one who helps dispel ignorance. Precisely why Arjuna, the disciple of Sage Krishna, says in chapter 18 verse 73 that listening to you I've overcome ignorance and gained wisdom. Notice here that the responsibility of shedding ignorance was with Arjuna and not Krishna. There wasn't a transfer or delegation of responsibility. Krishna helped with the message and imparting guidance and advice. But it was Arjuna who had to take action both physically and intellectually to dispel ignorance. But ignorance of what? It is the dispelling of ignorance across several dimensions. Let me give you 5 key ones. Number 1, understanding the distinction between the body and the fact that there is an energy that is common within all of us that's completely independent of this body. You can also call this energy as soul or atma or life energy. Number 2, gaining the clear understanding that any outcome is a culmination of effects, of a spaghetti of actions, some directly done by you and many through actions and thoughts of several others. These others include living and non-living objects. The effects impacting you could be due to action or thoughts that might have occurred in the past or may occur into the future. The spaghetti of actions and its effects is not in the purview or cognition of anyone. Hence, you cannot be certain of any outcome. Also, why you would ultimately say it is God's wish when it comes to an outcome. Number 3, understanding the prescribed methods of contemplation and spiritual learning. Number 4, the clear understanding that each one of us is guided by a mixture of righteous action, actions of passion, and actions of lethargy. It is your decision to put focus towards actions that lead towards righteous behavior. And any activity, even founded on passion and lethargy, should be directed towards righteous behavior. Gita calls these the 3 modes of material nature. And lastly, the 5th point, gaining clarity on having self-control, charity, and compassion, also called Dhamma, Daya, and Dana. Each one of these 5 I have described as a detailed topic in itself, which I'll continue to touch upon through the various videos on this channel as I have done in the previous videos. For now, just remember that for someone to be called a guru, the message of such individual should be towards helping you dispel ignorance and importantly, drive clarity on the various dimensions of ignorance. Also remember that you alone are responsible and act to have the ignorance dispelled, like Arjuna did in the Gita. Now that we know what dispelling ignorance means and the 5 aspects of it, let us go further on this term guru. You see, Gita is not an exponent of this term guru. Krishna, through his actions and messages, demonstrates or personifies the characteristics of an ideal guru. But that does not mean that Gita advocates for this term. Instead, what Gita does beautifully is reinforce repeatedly that each one of us needs a guide, an individual with wisdom, or a spiritual master. In fact, it advocates for us to behave like one, meaning imbibe the qualities of a spiritual master. Time and again, this aspect of a spiritual master is reiterated in the Gita. As it tells in chapter 2, verse 7, Gita directs that one should not hesitate, but be truthful and seek the guidance of a spiritual master to gain clarity. Who is a spiritual master? A spiritual master is one who spreads the message of spiritual learning, lives in the path of spirituality, and practices achara and vichara, which is discipline and intellectual understanding and living. Such individuals, we also call them acharyas. Hence, Gita's Krishna is also referred to as Gitacharya. As an individual, how do you know you have shed ignorance? What is that milestone? Let us look at 2 specifics. You have shed ignorance and called a sage of steady wisdom when you demonstrate self-control, meaning you remain calm and composed in the midst of challenges and pleasures. This can only happen when you detach to the outcome and focus on the action. I know it's not easy, but through practice you get it. Number 2, through self-control, when you get in communion with divinity, then you perform righteous actions according to your role in the personal and professional life. You do not consider any attainment to be greater than the service to humanity. Being in that mode helps you be rock solid even in the greatest calamity. That's all good, but how do you get started? There are 2 ways to get started and be like a spiritual master. Inquire and learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire with humbleness and an open mind. And listen with faith. Practice it intellectually and understand it intellectually. Those are the only 2 ways you can really shed ignorance. Gita's emphasis is on being in association with a spiritual master, as that alone can help dispel ignorance. The spiritual master can be someone alive now and guiding you physically or virtually. It can be a book with someone helping you understand the real authentic meaning. It could also be someone from the broader society with whom you may not have a personal direct affinity but look upon as a role model. Or it could be the whole society itself from which you learn through inquiry and self-introspection. There is one fundamental aspect though. Any spiritual master in whatever form will always ask you to have achara and vichara, meaning discipline and intellectual understanding, never blind belief, never superstition. For individuals who dispel ignorance, for them the intellect merges into the universal intellect or the divine intellect, and when that happens, you can say you have attained a liberated life. More than getting stuck with the notion or pressure of having a guru, it is to have an intent of inquiry and spiritual learning. When you have that intent of inquiry and spiritual learning, when you focus on shedding ignorance, when you understand the 5 things that I laid out in this video, when you practice the two ways by which you can approach and find a spiritual master, when you understand the two steps of maturity to realize when you have shed ignorance, when you go through this and go through that aspect of self-introspection, trust me, the spiritual master will show up. Focus on your intent. Focus on getting things moving. Do not delay. Stay blessed, and I'll talk to you soon.